on, y'all. Let's thank God for the people who watching online. Come on, let's give it up for them. Thank you all for tuning in to our Working the Word session that we have every second and fourth Tuesdays at 7 p.m. We're going to give you a little grace for you to tag somebody, share, blow the chat up, comment, interact. This is going to be good. This Sunday we begin our series on how to go through. We was talking about family dysfunction, and we want to continue that discussion, but we want to target trauma, what we talked about in our last class. If you were tuned in to our last class, if you were not, I want to give you some grace for you, not right now, after this live, I want you to go back and take a listen to the discussion that we had in our last session when we were dealing with trauma. Who all have ever dealt with trauma? Everybody. Those of you who are watching, if you've ever dealt with trauma, listen, just throw your hand up in the chat. This is going to be something all of us can relate to. It doesn't matter your ethnicity, it doesn't matter your background. There's some form or level of trauma that has taken place in your life. And watch this, when that trauma goes unaddressed, or you just push it to the side, or you just go on with life, hoping that it would never resurface or that it would go away, it will always come back when you least expect it. When you're married, when you're in a relationship, when you have kids, it's going to come back. It never goes away. So our solution and the right steps for us to take is to deal with it. Somebody said deal with it. Deal with it. And that's our hopes tonight as we progress in these sessions and discussions, for us to deal with the trauma that's in our past that we have never dealt with before. I want to go ahead and just define what trauma is. Trauma is an emotional response to a traumatic event like an accident, divorce, sexual assault when you was a child, a bad breakup. You may have saw your mom and your dad going through some stuff. Anything that just changed the very outlook on your childhood. It was traumatic for you. Now watch this. Immediately after whatever the situation was or whatever the event was, shock or denial takes place. I was talking with my therapist a couple of weeks ago, and she revealed a point that I never looked at before. And you know, when one of my relatives tried to, sexually assault me as a child, she navigated me to a place, and I didn't think about it because, okay, my mom and my dad was in the house. All of my brothers was there. And the question with me sitting on that couch was, why didn't I say something? Because if I'd have said something, he'd have got a beat down. My mom and my dad would have came in, you know what I'm saying? And she says this to me. She says, fear can grip you to the point where you don't say nothing. And I never looked at it like that, because it made me go back and revisit, why didn't I yell? Why didn't I scream? And she said, when fear comes upon you, it can cripple you where you can't do nothing. And she also said to me, okay, maybe fear had you so gripped where, okay, you felt ashamed to tell anybody what was trying to happen to you. And I get now why, okay, we see women show up in the news now talking about somebody has sexually assaulted them 20 years later. And normally we say, well, why you didn't say nothing sooner? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of shame that's there. There's a lot of embarrassment that comes along with it. Okay, well, how people gonna look at me now? If I share this, if I say this, okay, how will I be accepted? So fear can grip your life, and it can just take you all out of your reasoning and you're not thinking clearly is trauma. That's what trauma does. It causes you not to think and to see things clearly. And that's devastating. Long-term effects of trauma include unpredictable emotions. Anybody ever just was mad or upset, or you was acting indifferent and nobody bothered you that day?
Yes.
I'm talking about just got out of the bed and just, I don't know why I'm so agitated. I don't know why I'm so frustrated. Unpredictable emotion. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't know what it's tied to. All you know is, I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to be bothered. That's rooted to something though. That's not normal. That's not, why you don't want to be bothered? Because ain't nobody bothered you yet. You see what I'm saying? Ain't nobody bothered you to get you into the space of, and you don't even have the answers to why I feel the way I feel. That's tied to some unpredictable emotions. Another reaction is flashbacks. Anybody ever have always looked back and always, okay, let me give an example. Okay, let's say for instance somebody offends you in the present. And you go all the way back 5 years ago. Okay, this happened to me. Then this is why I don't fool with folks now. You always flashing back to what happened in your past. But what happened in your past ain't happening right now. You are offended, but you ain't offended how you was offended in the past. Or if it was the same offense in the past, why you keep going back to bring that up? Y'all hear me? Y'all understand what I'm saying? So flashbacks. Everybody said flashbacks. Another symptom is strained relationship. Anybody ever been in a strained relationship? Where you was on the verge of killing him, killing her, it's strained. Watch this now. From the simplest thing. I'm talking about the smallest thing. You ain't take the trash out. Y'all about to kill each other. But watch this. It really ain't about the trash. It's about, okay, I ain't dealt with my trauma in my past. And watch this. I gotta release it sometime. And you're not the person, watch this, I want to release it on, but I can't get to the person who I really want to tell on. You know what I'm saying? So you're the closest person to me, so you gonna feel it. And it ain't about the trash. It ain't really about, okay, I ain't eat all the chicken that you cooked for me. It ain't about that. Why you I'm over here slaving over this stove and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about it just blow up. I'm talking about go from 0 to 1,000. I'm talking about in a split second. And then you looking like, it really ain't that serious. That be rooted to something else. And what the something else is trauma. It can get so bad if it goes for long periods of time and you don't address it, it's going to affect your health. It's going to affect your health. Statistics show men die quicker than women. Because men don't process like women. Women talk things through. Men, I'm good. I'm straight. How you doing, man? I'm good. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to keep saying this for the men who are watching online and the men who's in the room. We have been taught not to show any emotions. Not to be vulnerable is weak, to cry and stuff like that. I was saying before we begin this discussion, okay, even at funerals, somebody has died in our life and you are crying, somebody will come by and say, be strong.
That's true.
Why can't I be weak though? Why can't I be vulnerable and cry because I'm looking at somebody who I have lost in my life? Why do I have to be strong? Will it take away your manhood? if you be weak. But that's what we have been taught. Because the Bible says, when I'm weak, he is strong. So that shows us in the Bible, you're going to have weak moments. It is impossible for you to stay strong. It is impossible. It is impossible. If I give you a 45 weight bar and I give it to you with no weights on it, and I tell you, grab that, hold it, and I'll see you tomorrow. What's going to happen? You're going to get weak. And you're going to have to let it down because, watch this. This is how life is. Life is going to get heavy. Relationships, carrying children, spouse, ministry, job. I got to be strong for everything and everybody. It's okay. Everybody say it with me. It's okay to be weak. It's okay to say, I just want to grieve right now. I just want to cry. I don't want to be strong. And that's all we've been hearing all of our life. Man, show some tears. Be strong, my brother. Be strong. Suck it up. No, cry. Cry like a man. That's what I need to start. Cry like a man. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Because they say, don't cry. And our society and our culture shows us, okay, it's a sign of weakness for me. So all we are told to do is, okay, don't express your emotions. Don't express what you feel. Suck it up, hold it in, suppress it, keep going. Keep being a provider. Keep being a father. Keep being a ministry worker. Keep being who you need to be for everybody else in your life except you. But I need to be vulnerable for me. Statistics show men die quicker than women because women talk things through, men suppress it. We die and we got high blood pressure, heart failure, all of this kind of stuff because we have not released. Women have tear ducts. Men have them too. Scientists did a study on tears and he says 98% of your tears are water, but the 2% is toxic and impurities coming out of your body. That's why when you cry, you say what? I feel better. Oh, it's a scientific fact. God gave us tear ducts. When we can't express it in our language, we start to cry. And then after we get there, I ain't talking about that little cute cry in church now. I'm talking about that cry where you pause in that cry. Oh, God. I'm talking about that cry where your soul is being cleansed from the toxicity and the weight and the impurities that are in your body. Jesus gets to Lazarus' tomb and the Bible said Jesus wept. This is God in the flesh. He shows an emotion and he's all God. He's all powerful, but he takes the humanity and he begins to cry because he's sad his friend is gone. That's the humanity. We're created in the likeness and image of God. But he was so much God to take the sadness and take the hurt from his friend and say, Lazarus, come forth. He was all man and he was all God. What are some traumatic situations that you have experienced in your life that, that's not popular for you, that you don't really like to share or have never shared before? And how do we navigate through this to address this? Because it's showing up in our adulthood even today. How do we begin to tackle the past traumas in our life? What are some of the steps? What can we do? Talk to me.
Admit that you have one.
Admit that you have one, a problem, that you have trauma, unresolved trauma. Admitting, that's good. Put that up. Put that in the chat. Admitting that you have a problem. What's the next one? Talking about it. Talking about it. Now that's very important and also tricky, because it matters who you talk to. You see what I'm saying? Because if you share your trauma with the wrong person, you'll be traumatized all over again. Because some people, watch this, who are unhealed, will take your trauma and they'll use it against you. Now you done relapsed. You traumatized all over again. Now you shut down again. Now you say things like this: I never trust anybody else again. We put everybody in the same boat of that person that's unhealed and did not, watch this, safeguard our vulnerability. Talking about it. That's very important. We talked about this in the last class. Or what are some of the signs or the evidence to show that this person is a safe space for me to share this trauma? What are some of those signs? And we're going to come back to some of those things we need to do to address the trauma. You said, what was the first one? Admit it, talk about it. Give me one more before we go to this next thing. Give me one more.
Linking up with people who hold you accountable and getting healed.
Linking up with people who hold you accountable. That's gonna take mature people. Because if I'm less mature than you, or I'm immature, you know what I'm saying? I may see like you see, through a dirty lens or traumatic situations or something like that. So my advice is not going to be beneficial for you. I'll keep you, if I'm unhealed and I got an unhealthy connection, and we're going to deal with that a little later, it'll keep you in a trauma loop. Meaning you'll just repeat the same cycle over and over again. And you wonder why you're not advancing or moving forward in your life. Watch this. You gifted. Mm-hmm. You are anointed in God. But watch this. Something missing. Mm-hmm. I got a little money in the bank. I'm riding pretty good. I got a roof over my head, but I still ain't happy.
So basically, you building a trauma bond with somebody, but nobody's healing.
You building a trauma bond. Mm-hmm. But watch this. When we are not healed, we don't know we in a trauma bond. This my sis. This sister here now. This my dog. This bruh. You see what I'm saying? But bruh toxic. Sis she toxic. But I can't see it. Because watch this. I'm toxic too. We don't want to have that conversation. Y'all understand what I'm saying? We don't want, because everybody else is toxic. I see toxicity in everybody else, but I'm connected to these toxic people. Get what you are.
Toxic.
Bad company corrupt good manners. What do I have in common with somebody that's toxic? We gotta have something in common. That's why they call it trauma bonding. I'm connected with somebody because their hurt or their past situations are similar to mine, so we can relate, so we connect. You know what I'm saying? We're not really progressing in our emotions or in our thought process. So I'm just bonded to it. I'm tied to it. But watch this. When I begin to grow and when I begin to heal and address these past trauma issues in my life, I begin to see different. And the friend, watch this, who used to be my bestie a year ago or six months ago, I'm starting not to really want to communicate with them like I used to. Right. And I'm not really, I ain't falling out with them now. I'm not loving them, but I'm growing. So now here comes, oh, you acting funny. Oh, you think you better? Oh, that's coming. Because they still traumatized and they still immature. So they won't validate or acknowledge, you growing. You don't really be messy like we used to be messy together. They won't validate that. So instead of building you up, they'll rather tear you down and pull you back down to their level. Because they know your buttons. Because you done shared all kind of stuff with them. You know what I'm saying? They know what trigger you. And they push those buttons to get you to backslash.
Once you done grow, though, the buttons are the same to people.
Yeah.
You don't, watch this. Boy, that's my brother from another mother right there, y'all. Watch this. When you grow and you try to push a button that you knew I would respond to in the past. You know what I'm saying? Now I don't react, but I respond. I really would appreciate it if you didn't do that to me. Oh God! Instead of who you think you're talking to like that? You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about just going in and blowing up. Now I'm able to y'all say this with me. Manage my emotions.
Manage my emotions.
Type that in the chat. Manage my emotions, because what you do is not going to dictate how I respond. That takes dealing with the trauma. That takes dealing with having a level of maturity to be able to say, okay, I recognize this now. Because when you begin to grow, the people that you are connected to, things are going to stick out. How you used to be with them. And now you don't know, no longer, you don't like it anymore. You're like, wow, I used to be like that. And now you're seeing it in your friends, you're seeing it in your family members, you're seeing it in your significant other, you're seeing it in your spouse. But watch this. Trauma explains why you do what you do in the present. Right? Trauma explains why you do what you do in the present. But it does not excuse what you're doing in the present. I need somebody to put that on their timeline. Trauma will explain why you responding and acting like you acting right now, but it does not excuse it. So that means I gotta address it, because I ain't finna keep overlooking it. When you are unhealed in areas, you'll let a lot of stuff slide. You won't say nothing, but when you begin to heal, you have to address it, because I can't keep letting you do me like this. I can't keep not saying nothing because we friends. If I am really your friends, if I'm my sister's keeper, and if I'm my brother's keeper, I gotta say something to you. And me loving you to the degree of holding you accountable, if it causes us to fall out, bye. Because I gotta keep growing. I love you, I want you to grow with me, but I gotta keep going. You see what I'm saying? I'm bringing this to your attention because you my sister. Because you my brother, and because I love you. And watch this. I don't want you to stay where I was, and we were there together. So I'm not condemning you. I'm not judging you. I need you to understand, but that's not a safe place for us to stay. We were there. Okay, old things passed away. Behold, all things, not just a new car. Not just a new house, but what about my emotions and my responses becoming new? Brothers and sisters, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in good health, even as your what? Soul prosper. Your emotions. We like to just say the first part of that you may prosper. But the latter part of that says, even as your soul prosper. So your emotions need to come up too. With your bank account. With your career, with your goals, because my character, my emotions need to match the level of anointing that I operate in on Sunday. Hey, y'all watching online. This is all I'm seeing in this discussion right here. They feeling it. This is good. Y'all gonna miss it. I wish I was here, but since you're not, just blow the chats up. How do we know what a safe space looks like? We need to admit it first, confess it, talk to somebody. How do we know who we can trust to talk to? Because I got to talk about it. How do I recognize that? Because have anybody ever shared some past trauma or some pillow talk or vulnerability, some secret stuff about yourself, and it was used against you? Or people mismanage or mishandle what you shared? Anybody ever been there?
Yes.
Okay. Those of you who are watching, you ever been there? How do we not make the same mistake? Because I picked the person to share it with. So that means, okay, I got to deal with something in me too, because I picked wrong.
Mm-hmm.
How do I recognize safe spaces? From your own interpretation, perspective.
You gotta pay attention to people.
Pay attention to people.
Pay attention how they act, how
Man,
they
let
talk.
me give you your minister's license. You gotta pay attention to people. The Bible says, I'm gonna put Bible to that. I'm gonna put biblical language to that. He said, pay attention to people. Put that in the chat. The Bible said, we know a tree by the fruit it bears. He said, pay attention to people. What am I looking for in people to be able to recognize if they are a safe space? I'm paying attention to what am I looking for though?
The people they hang around.
To be able to trust people they hang around. That's good, Willie. The people they hang around. If everybody around you messy, get what?
You miss it.
I can't trust you with this secret stuff. Because watch this. If you killing your home girl to me, this is your home girl now. You killing her to me. Get what you gonna do to me when I get on bad terms with you? You gonna kill me to her. So I gotta pay attention to people. I gotta pay attention to who they hang with. You was gonna say something.
Just to go back to what they were saying, you gotta watch people, but you also I feel like you gotta watch with your ears as well. And your eyes. You gotta listen with your eyes and look with your eyes as well.
Right.
Because your body language might say something your mouth is not, and your mouth might say something your body language is not.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say you can kind of test the person, give them some information, and if you know you only talk this one person, and you hear it again from somewhere else, you can't trust that person.
You can't trust them. That's right. She said, pay attention with your ears. And I would even take it another step further. Pay attention to what they're not saying.
Yeah.
A lot of people will come to you, they'll say what you want to hear, but what about what you're not saying? So you got to really fill in the blanks with people, and that's good. Pay attention to people. Pay attention to who they hang with. Listen. You was gonna say something, share something, Cameron?
So you remember? Okay. But you remember we was having that call and you was like, be careful of the advice you receive.
Right.
Because people can say, can tell you to follow your heart, but your heart can be deceitful.
Right.
So I feel like, basically what they were saying, you gotta basically pay attention to what people saying.
Right.
And then also, if you feel it in your gut that what they're saying to you don't line up with what you should be hearing, that's not a safe space.
That's not a safe space.
Because it's just feeding your emotions instead of telling you the truth.
I got a lot of people I need to license in the ministry and push them on in the ministry.
The truth really come out when somebody, or when you mad.
Yeah.
If you can see somebody when they mad,
Come on.
that's when you can really know if you can trust them or not with the word.
Yeah. Because
of their reaction, how they get mad, and what they say when they get mad.
Come on now.
That tells it all.
Come on over here and sit right now. You know what I'm saying? Listen, if you all can't hear him on live, he said, this will be a big indicator for you to know this is not a safe space. Listen to what they say when they get mad. Oh God, stuff go to come out, because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And you can never take back. I can never unhear what I heard.
Right.
You understand? You can punch me in my face and my bruise will heal. It'll go away. Or I can put some makeup on it or whatever. But what you say to me, it can stick with me longer than any punch you can give me in my face. You can never take it back. This is why it's so important to deal with past trauma, because watch this. If I cannot manage my emotions, I'm going to say something that I'm going to regret. I'm going to do something that I'm going to regret because I don't have a proper management of my emotion. And I'm saying all kind of stuff. And then when I come down, sometimes I don't even realize that's what I said. This is dangerous because it's controlling you. I hate you. What? But that's what I feel at the moment. But watch this. Why can't I feel that? Watch this. And articulate it in the proper way, where it won't be vicious or damaging to somebody else. Because watch this. Nothing wrong with me having an emotion to hate. I know it goes against your theology, but watch this. The Bible says God loved Jacob, but he hated Esau. So that's an emotion, right? So can I operate in a level of hate and still not be in sin? Thinking about it, ain't it? Yes, you can. Because watch this. I can hate a person's character. And I can love them. I can hate the way you treat me. Because sometimes me hating what you do to me push me from toxic situations. It'll cause me to leave trauma bonds because I hate it. So I can use hate to my advantage and it'll benefit me. But normally when we are in the emotion of hate, we don't manage that thing right. 'Cause I'm ready to fight. I smell blood. I'm just somebody's finna get it. I need you to feel this. We ain't managing it right. So we gotta learn how to manage these emotions. We gotta learn how to deal with these past trauma. If we never go back and take a look at what's causing us to respond or react the way we are reacting in any type of connections, we gotta make sure that we are dealing with it. Going to church is a tool to assist you in dealing with it. Church is not a cure-all. Laying hands on you at the altar is not going to cure it. It can start it. It can start your healing process, because right there at the altar, you can begin to cry and God reveal to you, or the man or woman of God talk to you and bring up your past, and you know they ain't know anything about it, and you just break down crying. And then when you leave that service, you leave the altar, you go and find you a healthy space and say, look, I need to talk about this. So I'm dealing with my trauma. I ain't dancing around it. I'm not speaking in tongues around it. I'm addressing it. Let's talk about the woman who was at the well. Jesus gets there. She shows up at a later hour because she didn't want to be around the people, because she had a reputation. You know how folk get, and they'll always pick at you and point out the wrong that you've done in your life. So she didn't want to deal with that. So she went after hours, where she knew nobody would be at the well. And Jesus, him being all knowing, he knew she was going to be there by herself. And he gets there, he just starts to have a conversation. He talks with her. He knows she's dealing with trauma. He just said, let me get something to drink. He starts a conversation. And by the time he's done with the conversation, he begins to bring up her past trauma. He said, you done had 5 husbands. He said, and the one you got ain't yours. Look at how he's going back to deal with what she been dealing with. You see what I'm saying? So we gotta understand that you gotta sit down and talk to somebody who's mature, who will provide a safe place for you to be vulnerable. I ain't talking about the church testimony or the church story that you give people. I'm talking about that nasty stuff that when you go back and think about it, you got to put gloves on your mind because it's so nasty. You know, you don't want to pick everything up with bare hand. You got to put gloves on. You got to put a glove on your mind because this stuff is nasty. And you don't want to deal with it, and you don't want to touch it. That's the stuff you got to address. But you can't share that with everybody. You can't give that to everybody. And you've been sharing it with people, and when they get mad, they use it against you. That's toxic. So come on, y'all talk to me. Talk to me. You was gonna say something. You said confess it. You said talk about it. You said I need to be able to listen to what they're saying, to be able to recognize safe spaces. You gonna add to that? What's a safe space look like to you?
They pretty much covered it all.
Okay. place of accountability. Somebody said that, place of accountability. A place where there's no judgment. A place where I ain't gonna look at you different after you share this with me now.
And maybe somebody you can relate to.
Somebody you can relate to. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's not. And let me explain, because that's, I don't want to say that that's not right. Sometimes we connect with people because they can relate. And a lot of times we get connected in a type of trauma bond because, okay, I can relate to that. So now we friends, but they ain't healed. So they can't really assist in my healing. You know what I'm saying? Of getting me to look at the symptoms that are popping up in my life. And they can't recognize that this is dysfunction. Me shutting down, me not being able to have a conversation, me not being able to hold your secrets, me not being able to, to still trust you and to be loyal to you even when I'm mad. They can't recognize
But
these.
see, that come from you paying attention to who you talking to.
Paying attention to
So
who you
that
talking
come
to.
first. But
Right.
then if you relate to them, you gotta know that they're mature enough that you can go talk to them.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
And that'll take a little time. You know what I'm saying? You gotta watch them. Now,
Trust take a little time to go.
it take time. Now watch this, you all. Watch this. Okay. Get in your mind some people that you have trusted in your past, and you looking at it now, you knew they wasn't good for you, and that wasn't a safe space for you. But watch this now. What made you pick them? Because from my perspective at that time, I thought they were good to be able to trust in that area. So my vision and my discernment was off. You see what I'm saying? At the time, because I was immature, I wasn't healed or working on my healing or dealing with the trauma. So is all of these things that you all are saying is very important to finding a safe space. We were just having a discussion this past Sunday. And the Lord had put it upon me. I ain't really deep, like that. But, when I said the Lord does something in my life and he deals with me in different ways. And I had planned to have some other people in the meeting that I was having. But when I began to hear the conversation and which way it was going, I said, I can't bring nobody in here. Or it's not going to get to where I needed to get to right now. It don't take anything away from the people that I was going to bring in, but I knew it wasn't going to feel safe to the people who I was talking to. You see what I'm saying? So I had to make a audible decision at the time to make it as safe as possible, because if we don't deal with this right now, it's going to be a repeated cycle. So it felt so good, you all, because, everybody in there crying, the tears are flowing, you know what I'm saying? But they don't want to not do this. I'm sure in certain spaces, you want to hold it back and you don't want to share, because it'll make you remember, okay, the last person or people in my past hurt me when I did this, so I'm more hesitant. I'm not as open to just release all of my baggage. One of them said they were sharing something and that they ain't never shared with nobody else except for one other person. The people determine what's a safe space. The people who in the space. You know what I'm saying? So but we can't be that vulnerable in every space because we feel like it's a safe space.
Right.
I had to be giving off something to make them feel like I can do this right here. And it's not gonna be used against me. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So no judgment, no condemnation, not looking at them any different. That's what all of us need. Every man, every boy, every woman, every child, everybody needs a safe space to be able to release If you do not release, you're going to bust, you're going to explode, and you're going to spill over on somebody else. And it is inevitable that they will be offended, they will be hurt by you not addressing the stuff that you should have been addressing. You're going to hurt somebody because, watch this, somebody in your past hurt you.
Let me ask you a question. So what if you don't know how to say it?
That's good right there too. Well, you trying to take me faster than I want to go, Stephen. Okay, let's deal with that. Stephen says, okay, what if you don't know how to express it? Okay, I can sure enough relate to that. Because growing up, people just thought I was quiet. And I was. But in reality, I didn't know how to express my feelings. But when it came down to, if I really wanted something, in that case, it was a woman or something, I would write a letter or I would draw a picture to express what I was feeling on the inside that I could not articulate. You see what I'm saying? So even in school and everything, the notes that I would get sent home to my mom was, he's a good job. He just draw all the time. That was me releasing into a note, into a letter, into a drawing or something. I didn't know how to express what I felt. So I suppress it, I just be quiet, I just forget about it, but it don't go away. Having a model, and this is how we learn how to express and to articulate what we're feeling on the inside. Having a model, and watch this, having safe spaces. This helps you to get into a routine of expressing because they know how to navigate you through it. Like, okay, say for instance, you come to me and you say, well, okay, X, Y, and Z happened. And I respond, well, Steve, how did that make you feel? The right questions and depending upon the space that you're in will pull it at you. This have to be strategic with the person that you're in the space with. They have to know how to not to pry and try to force it out you. That's not safe. It sure wasn't safe to the person who was trying to force it out of me. Because the more you try to push it out of me, the more I shut down. Because why are you trying to get it out of me so bad? Even if your motive and your intent is right, I didn't know how to express what I felt. But when I saw models of men who were healed and dealing with their past traumas, expressing and being vulnerable. So what I did, I aligned myself with what I wanted to be like. I listened to it often. I watched it often. Because watch this, you got to have a model in front of you of what you're going after. Michael Jordan would have never jumped from the free throw line with that dunk if he would have never saw Dr. Dre do it, Dr. J do it. He was the first one to do it. So he had a model. If I got somebody to model it in front of me, watch this. In actuality, they're pouring into me. And I'm becoming like what I'm around. Oh, this is good, y'all. I'm becoming like what I'm around. If you are around people, men, women, that don't model expressing what they feel, you know what I'm saying? That's what you become like. So if I'm going to surround myself with people who model it in front of me, and then I begin to observe and take note, okay, well, I'm going to try this. You know what I'm saying? Because most of the time, in our past, we express our emotions when we get mad. Raise your hand. Talk to me online. You express it when you get mad. But watch this. You saw it last month. You ain't say nothing about it. You saw it 6 months ago. You still didn't mention it. But when you got mad, this is what you did. This is what you did right here now. This is what you did. I remember what you did. January 15th, 6:45. This is what you did because you're mad. Now you can't even control it. It's busting out you. You know what I'm saying? Now the person that you're trying to express a valid situation with, you know what I'm saying? Now that you're mad, they ain't hearing you. Because if they ain't here, guess how they going to respond? Well, you be doing. So now you got all of this unhealthy, ain't no, y'all communicate, but it's not effective. So I like to use this analogy that the Bible uses of the lion and the lamb. When I get excited, I start stumbling over my words. So let me. The lion and the lamb. This is a depiction of how they describe Jesus in the Bible. He's the lion of the tribe of Judah. He's the Lamb of God. Okay, what does that mean? These are characteristics. These are innate things that are built inside of us. And men particularly often, and most of the time, only will operate as the lion. I'm assertive, I'm firm, I'm stern, and I'm going to put my foot down. And I'm a man. Come on, talk to me now. I'm a man. We're running out of time. That's the only emotion that we'll use, the lion. But there's a lamb too. Because when a lion see hyenas come in his territory, what he do? He rise up and he defend his territory. But I like National Geographic. Lions are not fighting all day. They say lions sleep 20 hours a day. They just chilling. The lamb. They just chilling. They ain't fighting all the time. But if you cross that line, you're gonna see what that lion is made of. That's in us men. But watch this. There's a lamb too. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gotta always be fighting. I ain't gotta always, just assert my manhood, my dominance. I can be soft too. I can be men can be nurturers too. Men can be compassionate too. Men can be merciful too. Men can be forgiving also. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So it's okay to shift from that lion and the lamb. The lamb don't mean you're going to be passive and just let folk walk all over you. That when it's time to put on the lion and you can check people in that lion mentality, and still be in order and be right before God. Look, I don't like the way you talk to me like that. I can receive from you, but you got to understand we both are those. And I'll still be okay. I don't leave out mad or anything. I express what I felt. You see what I'm saying? But I think for me, I didn't express what I felt most of the time, especially when I was angry, because I was afraid of how I would react when I got angry. Because when I got angry, I black out. I'm trying to kill what's in front of me. So I always would veer away from that emotion of anger. But anger is good. The Bible said, be angry, but don't sin. So I got to be able to manage my emotions, and even when I'm feeling angry, I can manage it and still, let me give an example. Like, let's say, for instance, you and your wife go to a restaurant. You got a bad server coming to the table with an attitude. What y'all want? You know what I'm saying? Just, y'all paying good money. Y'all fine dining and everything. Okay, all right. I don't want to just sit through this and I'm spending my money. And then we get in the car. The service was so bad in this restaurant. But, okay, the lion in me should say to the server, okay, me and my wife, we're paying good money to dine here, and we want to enjoy our experience. Would you replace yourself with another waiter? That's a lion. I'm making myself, I'm acknowledging, okay, I'm displeased. But I'm doing it in a respectful way. I ain't raising my tone. I ain't chomping them off or whatever. But I'm letting you know I'm not satisfied with this. I'm not going to spend my money and you give me bad service. You know what I'm saying? Okay, are you going through anything? I don't know your religious belief, but can I pray with you? Because they may be having a bad day. That's the lamb. You see what I'm saying? I don't switch from the two, in a split moment. But when I leave the restaurant, I ain't getting in the car talking about we had bad service. You see what I dealt with it. Or we can take out our funds and we go to another restaurant who's gonna treat us right. The lion and the lamb. You gotta be able to feel what you feel. And this is oftentimes for men too, sometimes for women, but more so for men. We shut down, we don't talk. You got to feel what you feel and still be able to manage that feeling and still address the problem. That's proper masculinity. Because you got this thing that's going out now, toxic masculinity. Masculinity is not toxic. Now, people may be toxic. You see what I'm saying? So, but you got to have it modeled in front of you. If you grew up not seeing people express their emotion, express love, you didn't have it modeled in front of you. So, you know, now I gotta connect with what I want to be like. You see what I'm saying? And that'll put me in a place where I feel safe to be able to tap into these other emotions that are in my life. And I get the proper understanding of it's okay for me to be, you know, sorry. It's okay for me to feel hurt. It's okay for me to be frustrated. It's okay for me to be agitated. It's okay to feel that. But how are you going to respond after feeling what you feel? Are you going to shut down? Are you going to take it out on the person that's closest to you? Are you going to stop coming to the ministry? Are you going, because all of these things are behaviors that are not healthy. Unless the ministry is toxic. You understand what I'm saying? You need to get away from that. You know, so, but other than that, healing is the journey. Wholeness is the destination. These things do not happen overnight. These things are a process. But we have to begin the journey based upon those things that you all have mentioned yourself. Confessing it, that I got a problem. Talking to somebody about it. Listening to find or to see safe spaces where I can deal with this, okay, DNA trauma that is passed down in my bloodline. Because if I search back far enough, my mama didn't have enough to give me what I needed because it wasn't given to her. Your daddy gave you only what he could give you because it wasn't given to him. If you search your lineage back far enough, the characteristic that we are operating in when we are not addressing our trauma it's been in your bloodline. And it's just spilling over from generation to generation. It ran in your family until it ran into you. Are you going to be the one to take a stand and say, it stops with me? Come on, everybody say that, it stops with me. Come on, share that online. It stops with me. It stops with me. Listen, you all, we're not out of word. We're not out of discussion. But we are out of time. I want you to like this, share this, tag you somebody, because these discussions are going to help you to navigate in any relational space. It's going to bring to the forefront what safe spaces look like, the trauma that you have not dealt with, the reactions that you are displaying that you've done 20 or plus years, so it's normal to you. You don't think anything is wrong with you, but when things are revealed and brought to the light, you cannot be in denial. You cannot turn your head away from this and decide that's not me. It is you. It is you, and now what we have to do is address it. I love you. I thank you all for tuning in. Watch this.